It's all about the voice today, so stay tuned. Breaking Into is next.
You are tuned in to Black Hollywood Lives. Breaking Into.
Had to do it. Little Barry White, may he rest in peace. I remember hearing this song when I was growing up, all the songs he did when I was growing up, and I was thinking, God, the man has a voice. And then years later, I got a deep voice. It's crazy. He's like one of my voice idols. Him and James Lott Jr. And this next guest that I have on today, it's episode 40 of Breaking Into, and I'm your host, James Lott Jr. We're at 40 episodes. I so appreciate everyone who's been on my show and all you guys who watch my show and share it and talk about it. I appreciate it with all my heart. My guest today is good. And he's an actor, voiceover coach, author. I mean, he just does so much. He's been around for a while. He has 3 books. We're going to make sure you name them too. This one, of course, is You Can Bank on Your Voice, a guide to successful career in voiceovers. He also has Step Up to the Mic, a positive approach to succeed in voiceover. And his latest book, which is what got my attention, of course, is Tongue Twisters and Vocal Warm-Ups. Okay? This gentleman is he's just a great guy, and we're going to talk. We're going to hear his voice today, Mr. Rodney Saulsberry. How's that?
That's fine, James. How are you?
How are you, sir? I was telling him that he left messages on my phone. I haven't erased them because they're nice messages on the phone. The voice is there. When did you know you had a voice?
Wow. As a matter of fact, I don't know that I did know in terms of a speaking voice. You know how we start out as kids, and of course the voice is not low yet. I started out singing.
Okay.
And so I was told I had a nice voice then, And I just kept on singing, and then I started doing plays. I started doing high school musicals. I was Tony in West Side Story.
Oh, okay.
Sky Masterson in Guys and Dolls, and Billy Bigelow in Carousel.
Oh, funny. Okay, yeah.
And of course, I had to do a lot of singing with those particular roles. And I came out to Hollywood, and at that point is when people started to say to me, you have a nice voice, you should get into voiceovers. And so I found out what they were talking about. I didn't even know what that meant.
Yeah, like, what does that mean?
Yeah. It is kind of funny, though. When I was growing up, I had this tape recorder, AOA, I think it was called.
Oh, AOA. Yeah, I know those.
Yeah.
AIWA.
There
Yes,
you
I
go.
remember those.
There you
Yes.
go. And I would record on it, and I used to always try to do Bank of America commercials. Actually, it was Detroit Bank and Trust. It wasn't Detroit Bank and Trust. And at the end, the thing that really fascinated me was member FDIC. I don't care what the copy was in front of it. I always was dying to get to member FDIC. So I think long ago, this voiceover thing was sort of in the back of my head, and I didn't even know it. But it started out with singing, going into acting, and then voiceover.
It's funny. My voice changed. I was going to tell you this off camera, but my voice changed in high school. I went from, hi, I'm James, to hi, I'm James. And I was embarrassed at first because I had a deeper voice than anybody else. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get make fun of it so much, but just kind of like, wow, you sound like you're something wrong with you. What's going on with you? I didn't know I had a voice until I was in my 30s.
Wow.
That I actually had people would say you have a nice voice, but I didn't really get it until I noticed that all the women in my office would say, can you call me in the morning first and say good morning?
Mm-hmm.
Because I worked at a place where we had a satellite office or whatever. And they're like, did you never call us anymore in the morning and say good morning?
They looked forward to that.
Yes, because my voice. And I said,
right.
oh, these women like my voice. And it was like, this one said, oh, Jay, you should do voiceover. And there's Columbia Broadcasting School and all that stuff. I was like, I don't even know what any of that, like, he was like, I don't even know what any of that means. And, I admired radio, and I admired radio voices like Casey Kasem and those people that I used to like. I still didn't really get it until my 30s. I was like, oh, I have a voice. Yeah. It's actually got me into things.
Yes, it has.
And
you have a great voice.
Yeah. And out of things. But that's all before, there was internet. But no, it's just I didn't really realize how powerful a voice sound can be to people.
Yes.
You must get that too.
I get it all the time. And I often think that people are playing a joke on me when they say, do you do voiceovers? Or have I heard you on the radio? Or you must do something with your voice. And I think that they know me or they heard about me somewhere and they're just sort of pulling my leg. But no, it's just a matter of me being in a restaurant or at the department store, and somebody will say, "You have a really nice voice," and I say, "Thank you."
Yeah.
And they say, "Well, what do you do?" And I say, as a matter of fact, that's what I do.
I wash dishes. That's what I do. I don't do anything with my voice at all. But no, it's funny. People will come up to you. That's the thing. People. There's certain things people, either sometimes hair is one thing people will come and say, "Oh, I love your hair." Or, yeah, but when it comes to voice, I've had all kinds of people come up to me. Grandmas, young people, just like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Very interesting. Before we get further into the voice, I'm gonna show a picture of something that I remember him from, and some of you guys are bold and beautiful fans. He did several, some storylines, some great storylines on Bold and the Beautiful, and when I'm gonna show a picture with the wonderful Catherine Kelly Lang, who still plays Brooke on the show. You played Anthony.
Right.
You were nominated for some NAACP Awards, Best Actor.
Yes.
Awards. How's that experience for you?
It was absolutely wonderful. Nominated for 2 NAACP Image Awards, and was quite happy about that. Just the idea of being nominated and going to the ceremony, being on the red carpet, taking my wife there, and just enjoying that whole process. It was wonderful. I started out doing a soap many years ago called Capital.
I remember Capital.
Yeah, it was on CBS, and I played an FBI agent by the name of Jeff Johnson. And so I had the experience, and then I went on to do some stints on The Young and the Restless. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I got an audition to play Anthony. And I recall going to a number of auditions, and of course it gets down to 5 people, 6 people, 2 people, you.
Yeah.
But one thing that sort of stood out for me is that the storyline involved Anthony actually having a CD that he had put together, and some guys taking it from him, robbing him and taking his CDs that he was selling out on Skid Row.
Yeah, Skid Row.
And so I had my own CD. So I was auditioning, but I was also leaving my CD with the casting director.
Oh,
and it turns out that the producer of the show got that CD and liked it so much that some of the storyline was based on one of those songs, Miracles.
Yeah, you sang it. You played the guitar.
Yeah, Miracles, that's right. And so, but it was a wonderful experience. It was a wonderful experience. This picture that you show right here was, I mean, it's quite hot out here today in California, but this happened to be 2 of the hottest days in history that we were out there. And looking at myself here in this picture, I recall having a great sandwich that I was eating. It was great. And, you know, a little method acting there.
Yeah.
But it was a great experience. Soap operas, I think it's just a avenue that reminds me a lot of the theater. Of course, there's not a live audience out there watching, but the copy, the immediate response from the crew that's around, the immediate response when you talk about this this new social media that pops up, and just the lines, the way that there's so much dialogue, just reminds me of my Broadway experiences.
Did you guys film in Skid Row too?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, you guys did. Bold and Beautiful has done several storylines, homeless storylines over the past. They had one years earlier with Stephanie Forrester, who ends up homeless in this kind of storyline. So yeah, I remember that you guys actually went to Skid Row to film.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And what was nice about that is not only was Anthony on Skid Row, but they took him in, cleaned him up, you know, shaved.
Yes.
You know, and he had a job at Daisy's place.
Yes,
and
Daisy.
Yes, and we would sing and do great things. And so it was just nice to go to Skid Row, find a homeless person, and bring this person into another community. I recall going into the big mansion and just looking around, you know, and just being happy to do bigger and better things. And so I think the storyline was really good for bringing people out of a situation and putting them into something better, and making them more productive citizens in the community.
I thought it was a great storyline because it wasn't one of those salacious soap storylines we get all the time. It actually was a human interest storyline.
Yes, yes.
That actually could help affect change and bring awareness.
No doubt about
That
it.
was really good. You also went to the Emmys too, I believe, those couple of years too. I think I saw some red carpet. You went to the Emmys.
I
also,
did.
just for the
Yes,
show, so-
yes, and we kept winning. Over and over.
So okay, so you're. I like to ask people this, of course. When you're nominated for an award, I've never been nominated for an award. So when you're nominated for an award, I mean, how does it feel? I mean, is it for you? Did it feel like this is great? If I don't win, it's fine, or did you really want to win?
Well, of course you want to win, no doubt about it. It's always nice to win, but the nomination is really nice. Yeah. When you are in the audience anticipating possibly winning, your heart is really beating, not just because of the fact that you might win, and that's nice, but that you might have to go up on that stage and speak.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's like the scariest part.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And just to go up those steps,
yes.
Am I going to trip or something like that? So I'm sure that I'm not the only one that felt that way.
Did you have a speech ready?
No, not anything like in my tux or anything, to pull out. I certainly would know what to say.
Yeah. That's fun. And except for your wife, like you mentioned, for your wife, it was fun for her to get her dressed up.
Yes, no doubt about it.
And do that. Oh, that's much fun. So I just want to mention that because I do the bold breakdown on our sister networks, AfterBuzz TV on Sundays.
All right.
A little cross promotion. I like to promote everything. Okay, so now let's get into the voice. So we're gonna play 2 or 3. We're gonna play 3 of commercials that he does. We're gonna play one at a time and talk about each one a little bit. To just give you an idea of kind of how this all works. We're gonna play the first one. It's an audio clip. You're gonna play it. It's called. It's for Whole Foods Market, which I like them. So let's go ahead.
Whoops! It says sugar. I used salt. This holiday mix-up was definitely my fault. But friends saved the day with amazing side dishes. And the party was perfect, fulfilling my wishes. Come together with Whole Foods Market.
Okay, so that one, you're called to be upbeat. You're called to be animated. So, how was that experience for you for something like that?
It was very nice. A very nice experience. It was, as I recall, it was a commercial that I did where I actually came outside of my home. Because a lot of times now, again, due to technology and social media, we work from home.
Okay.
And I have an ISDN line at home, and I'm able to sound just like you're hearing me right now. There's all types of different ways to do that. But this was a chance to go out to the studio, which is always fun. And I think I was over at maybe LA Studios.
Oh, no, they are. Yeah, I know them. Yeah.
Yeah, so now you're there. And as you heard me sing that part, the party was perfect.
Yes.
That wasn't originally something that was supposed to be sung.
Okay.
But again, I call on all of my talents, and I encourage my students to do that too. I teach to call on all of your talents and throw them out there. And if they don't think that they like it, then they'll say, don't do that again. But if they do like it, then there it is. Yeah. So it was a great experience. I love Whole Foods too, so that was good.
Yes.
I feel that we speak better about things that we like.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I think when you put your demo together, for instance, I think it should consist of snippets that appeal to you, because I think you're going to speak better about them. And because I am a fan of Whole Foods, I think that
the party was.
Yes, the party, right. And I try to put myself in the situation as to what I'm speaking about. So when I was doing that and singing and talking about Whole Foods, I really was at this perfect party. Wow. I had people around me in my mind. I set up a scene. I go far beyond whatever the VO direction or the specs are. I add my own stories to it too, so that I can make it as real as possible.
So you're still acting.
Of course you're acting. But today, the trend is the conversational read, the real person read. Of course, you're going to hear a lot of things where they want the formal announcer, and I do plenty of that. But there
Give us a formal announcer.
Well, the formal announcer would be like if I'm doing a trailer and I said, starts Friday at a theater near you, now playing in theaters everywhere. Of course, that's the formal, talk that we hear. But a lot of times today now, they want it to be more conversational. And so this commercial sounds like one of my conversational reads to me. And it takes technique to get to that.
I would say, I'm sure.
Yes. You would think because they say be conversational, you just start being conversational. But it's never like that when it's session time, because we see the microphones in front of us. We know that we're at a session, we're about to be paid, etc. We go into acting, or we go into the formal announcer. So there is technique in dialing it all back and being natural and conversational.
That makes sense. Makes sense. Let's play the next one for Zatarain, which I like them too.
All right.
When you're craving a taste of New Orleans, there's only one way to get this fabulous flavor fast. Zatarain's frozen entrees. That's right, frozen. Lunchtime, dinner time. Anytime's the right time for Zatarain's frozen entrees. Let's shake things up with some Zatarain's dirty rice. Tender long grain rice in a secret blend of New Orleans seasonings. Just add ground meat for a taste that's as jazzy as New Orleans. Jazz it up with Zatarain.
I love it. It's like you had to get very New Orleans,
Yes.
New Orleans in there.
Yes,
and,
yes.
And kind of raspier and kind of, yeah. Talk about that one a little bit.
Well, again, calling on experiences, calling on people that I've heard in my life, voices that I have recorded on my hard drive. And when given a caricature, a picture of a person that they want me to put a voice into, I just look at it, and things come up. For instance, this black silhouette is playing a trumpet, and when I looked at that, the first thing I thought about was, of course, Louis Armstrong.
Yes, totally.
And then to not just sound like Louis Armstrong, I thought about other voices that I have heard, that I have in my repertoire. And I just brought that to the Zatarain's man. Now, when you get these characters and they are in a place in your body that may hurt, for instance, that's not comfortable, we have to think about that too. So it's important to know how to breathe. And again, we're getting back to technique. Being a singer and learning about the voice coming out of the mask and using the diaphragm, I was able to come up with a voice that is different from me. And I'm thinking about New Orleans and all those kinds of things, but raspy. But because I am the voice of, I want to make sure that I can sustain these long sessions and be comfortable in them, because you're hearing that rasp. I have to make sure that I'm using technique to get there and not hurt myself.
And you're doing it, I mean, some things are take, it's not one take either. These are
Not
take
at
after
all.
take. Take. That's interesting.
Yeah.
We're going to play one more, and then we're going to talk about the techniques that you use. This is for Dumb and Dumber.
Can I be on top? Only if I can be on bottom. All right.
This Father's Day,
Night, Mrs. D.
Good night, Louis.
New Line Cinema asks the eternal question,
Your mom just totally made a move on me. She did not.
who's your daddy?
Maybe soon I'll be your new daddy.
This Friday,
You can't marry my mom. Don't you take that tone with me, young man.
get dumb.
Gotta taste my mom's pie. This pie tastes delicious, Mrs. D.
Dumb and Dumber, rated PG-13. Starts Friday.
That was your that was that voice. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, okay, so when you know you're about, because you said you do it from home. Well, actually, it doesn't matter. Whether you do it from home or do it in a studio, what is your regimen before you actually go into a session? Like, get yourself prepared.
My regimen is to make sure that I look at that script if I have an opportunity. You don't want to memorize it because things change when the session starts, and you don't want to be stuck to something.
Interesting.
But you do want to be very familiar with it. And when I say be very familiar, now, because I know about this copy, because I've looked at it over and over again, and I know what's in front of it, what's behind it, what's in the middle of it. If there are changes, there's not a problem for me. I got that from my acting.
Yeah, well,
When
yes.
when I would do acting and any situation comedy that I was in or any drama,
They change things all the time.
they change all the time. But because I know the root of everything, I know the ins and outs, I'm able to make that change. And so that's what I do. I make sure I know that script. I warm up doing some of my tongue twisters.
Yes. This book, you guys. Get the book and learn all about it. But I just want to say out loud kind of what you do a little bit.
Right, bippity bumpity, rippity rumpity, bippity bumpity boo, that kind of thing. And again, coming from the singing background, voiceover is analogous to music. And so some of the same things that we do to warm up as singers, we do for voiceover. So I'll do the scales and all the things that I used to do when I was a music major, voice major at the University of Michigan. And so that's the first thing that I do. I just make sure that I study that script and I warm up. When you are watching basketball games and you see the players stretching, they're stretching muscles. When you see the football players stretching, when you see them practicing shots and going through the layup line, they are preparing themselves, they are getting their muscles together. We have to do the same thing as voiceover artists. We have to warm up get the larynx going, get the vocal folds, the vocal cords, etc., all of that in shape, and make sure that we have some, in fact, you have some here, some room temperature water to wet the beak, so to speak, and try to cut down on the mouth sounds that may be coming out. Dry lips, dry whatever, right? Because those things actually translate over the microphone. And the engineer will say to you, you got some water there? Take a sip.
Yeah, because I had the ones that I was taught of the baby, bibo, boo, say, si, si, so, su, day, dee, die, do, do. I mean, it's just like you do the whole alphabet.
That's right.
I've learned that one, of course. And there's a few others I've learned that from when I was doing voice stuff, that is to get your mouth flexible.
Yes, yes. Get that dexterity going.
Yeah.
And here's something that's important too. I talk about it in my book, Tongue Twisters and Vocal Warm-Ups. Yes, you can go on YouTube and find me doing things at a very fast pace. Okay. And that's great. I believe that we all should do that. But the reason that I wrote this book, the reason why I coach doing tongue twisters before you read the copy, is that the most important thing is to read exactly what is on the page.
Got it.
Read exactly what is on the page. And that way, when you do that and you read it with clarity, okay, and you read it with good articulation, now when you get to the copy, you're ready to read exactly what's on the page.
I like that.
With great clarity and great dexterity. All right? So tongue twisters are not just for speed.
Right.
You know, I'm not so impressed with how fast you go. I'm more impressed with how clear you are and how you make sure that you read exactly what's on the page.
Yeah. My girl used to always say, and just something just kind of lateral to this, you should, James, you should know how to speak proper English so that you can talk slang when you feel like it.
That's right.
You can speak in colloquialisms or whatever.
That's right.
But you should know the proper way to say something, then you can play with the language.
You can play with the language. You're in control.
Yeah.
See, this gets back to the knowledge. When I think about my acting day, when I think about The Bold and the Beautiful, because I am so well rehearsed, because I know my material, now I can play. And like you said, if you learn how to speak all of those different kinds of ways, now you have that big canvas to paint on.
Yeah. What are some of the misconceptions about your voice? Like I've heard people say you should have Lay's potato chips before you go, so it's salty and makes it. Honey sticks or like. What are some things that are kind of that you shouldn't do to your voice? I guess. I know smoking is one that you should might do. Drinking probably, right? It dries out your voice.
Right. No doubt about it. I think that vodka, things like that, that's pretty strong. That will dry you out. Yeah. I think that dairy.
Yeah, does that dry you out too?
Well, it clogs you up. It gives you mucus, and that's not good. So I would not suggest having like a milkshake before you do a voiceover.
Yes.
Right. But I think that the older I get, I don't want to say that I'm starting to dismiss things.
Okay.
But I'm starting to feel that the definites are what I just said to you. The vodka dries you out. Cigarettes are cigarettes. None of us should do that. Yeah. And the milk will produce mucus. The other things, for instance, when I was growing up, I would always tell people that they definitely need to be standing when they do voiceover, and I still believe that to a great extent.
Okay.
Again, getting back to the singing, you don't sit down and sing.
You don't.
So again, now I'm up. Everything is free. Everything is free to move, and I can project the voice. But I must say, and this is probably getting older and wanting to sit down more.
That does happen.
That does happen. I must say that I think I'm doing some great voiceovers sitting down too. So if I had to go back now, I would say it's not so important to be standing as I thought it once was.
But it's funny you should say, because I did. I'm the voice of a radio show. I do the bumpers and stuff, and I'm like, Radio Millennial starts now. I say that and I do those things. I had to stand up to do it. I actually did. I was sitting down. I was like, it wasn't clicking for me for some reason. I couldn't breathe correctly or something. I did. Now I didn't even know the techniques because I didn't read your book yet.
Right.
But I stood up and I did feel better to do it. Also, I recorded a commercial recently. I was able to. I had to stand up and actually use my hands, kind of stand a certain way, and I was like, I don't know if it's helped any, but it felt like it helped me breathe out the sentence.
Right. Well, I think it also depends on the medium that you're in. When we think about growing up and seeing people, do what you do now, DJs and great radio personalities, they were mostly sitting down.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and if I'm doing like a game, a video game, of course I've got to stand up, and I've got some directors who wouldn't dream of having me sit down.
That's funny.
Because I have to, if I'm shooting a rifle, they want me to hold my hands like a rifle. Whatever's happening, all the physicality has to happen. So for those things, you will never sit down. And I still believe that standing up is better, but I must say that sitting down is not so bad either, if that's what you have to do.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I love that. Yeah, sitting down sometimes does work.
Yes.
When did you realize you could make money at this?
I think growing up and saying, member FDIC, of course, I wasn't making any money. But I found that out right away.
Okay, you did find out. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, from the first one, I recall getting my demo tape made and giving it to every voiceover agency in town. And I dropped it off at a place called ICM at the time.
Okay.
And I put it in the mail room. And I went outside and sat in my car, and the phone was as big as this.
You back there?
Yeah, back there. And I called up to a guy named James Duda. And I said, James, my name is Rodney Saulsberry, and I just left a really hot demo in the mailroom that you should check out. And he said, really? I said, yeah. And he went and sent somebody down and got it and listened to it and called me back on that big phone and said, where are you? And I said, I'm right downstairs in front of ICM. He said, come on up.
Wow.
So I went up and I read a Bank of America commercial, and I got it. And a few days later, I was on a plane to Oakland, California, to do a couple of Bank of America spots. And every time I would do those spots, I'd fly on a plane to Oakland. Things weren't like they are now.
Yeah, right.
And it was wonderful.
Do you remember what the spot was? Remember?
No.
You remember it too long ago at this point.
Too long, yeah.
He was like, that's a while back. I can't hear that.
Well, you know, it's not that it was that far back. I just don't remember it. Yeah.
You've done so much, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because I know people who do. I mean, my friend Norman Lee does voiceover work. And then there's.
I know Norman.
You probably know Norman.
Yeah,
And him and is it David Anthony Carey or whatever? I've got another guy I know that does. I know a lot of guys are black. What's going on? So for a black man, this can work because you're not really being seen; you're just being heard, right?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I think about all the years I did the Twix spots. I think it was maybe 2 spots that were black-oriented commercials where black people were actually on the screen.
Yeah.
All the other ones were
right.
Just your general commercials. And something would happen, and I would say, need a moment. When you need a moment, chew it over with Twix. So
I love it.
And when we think about some of the people that are out there now doing really well, they're on everything. And then we think about people like Morgan Freeman, he's on everything.
Yes.
So it's really just a matter of having a nice voice, I think. But even more than that, it's what you do with the voice. In my opinion, voiceover is voice acting, and you have to know how to act. You have to know how to bring the copy off the page and entice people to buy the product. And whatever the voice is that does that is perfect.
Well, man, because this is Black Hollywood Live, so you gotta talk some black stuff for a minute. People like Dennis Haysbert, Samuel L. Jackson,
right.
Morgan Freeman just mentioned. These are, James Earl Jones, people who. When I say voice, almost any race I talk to, they come up with them first.
Right.
It's one of the few professions I always think of, besides maybe rap, where they go to a black man they start thinking black people first. And I just think, I know people like even Wanda Sykes do some.
Right.
They're all doing, but it's just funny that it's one of those things where it's a profession that doesn't really matter what you look like. Like you said, if you have a good acting voice that can be diverse,
exactly,
and sound like whatever it needs to sound like,
that's right.
You can have a career in it. That's amazing to me.
It's a wonderful way to make a living. Can you imagine? I just came from working for Telemundo.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
You know what'd you say? Something in Spanish, or was it just like?
No, not speaking in Spanish. About 40 promos.
Wow.
Talking about their soap operas that are played.
Telenovelas.
Yeah, played around the telenovelas.
Yeah.
Wow.
Telemundo.
So, you know, I can do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then commercial-wise, I just the other day did something for Cal Lottery.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Yeah. So, in fact, you'll be hearing those. Those are supposed to start running
I love it.
on the 29th of this month. Yeah.
So you get.
In fact, you know what I really liked about that?
Tell me.
I got a chance to say those magic words that my man Don LaFontaine, the late Don LaFontaine, always said. As a matter of fact, Don is in that book.
And step to the mic.
Yeah,
I know that name. I do know that
he had
name.
a contribution to that book in a section called "Words of Wisdom from the Pros." I asked him and some other great voiceover artists how a positive attitude helped them in their career. But anyway, I got to say, in a world.
I love it.
You know?
Because Don LaFontaine was known for that. He was known for the inner world.
He was known for
where love
world.
is, whatever it is, right.
In a world. And so, you know, you have to do that right. You have to make it happen to give Don his respect. Yes. And that commercial will start out with that and go into all these great things and all this money that you can win. So there's just so much, James. That's the beauty of voiceover. There's so many different aspects of it.
Yeah.
You know, and so I love it.
And it's just, I mean, okay, so you get paid for every time the commercial is played, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Commercials are very lucrative for some people. They are, aren't they? Because you get paid every time it plays. If that's your contract, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I like that. I used to do some of the commercials and things.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, so like you said, you kind of you got into the business. You've been doing it for a long time. Has your voice changed over the years?
Yes, no doubt about it.
You get older, things will register.
Yeah. Well, you know, let's talk about the fact you talked about being a kid and how you started out as this soprano, and then you went into being the big baritone bass that you are today. That certainly happens. And then a maturity comes into the voice. I believe that you can truly hear maturity. I believe you can hear experiences and everything, right? And so I think that's why when casting directors are casting, with some exception, people tend to play their age.
Okay, got it.
All
yes.
right.
Okay.
Now, in animation, we find that women are doing teenagers.
Yes.
They're doing kids.
Yes.
Okay. And I guess I'm sure there are some guys that can do some young things. Yeah. But for the most part, you're being cast pretty much age type. And when I say age type, anywhere from, I think the voice sounds the same from 40 to 60. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the change just comes from, it could come from you doing some bad things like smoking or not taking care of yourself. But I think what changes is your knowledge, your perception of the business, your perception of copy. I see copy different than you see copy.
Yeah.
That's how I come up with my interpretation, and that's how you come up with your interpretation.
Yeah.
And interpretation and perceptions come from life. They come from life. Your experiences. I believe that the signature voice is a tree trunk. That all of our experiences, from like this experience that I'm experiencing with you right now today, are the roots that, and everything that happens is life. And this experience and all of your experience is the water that is hitting the roots and coming up through the tree trunk to my signature voice. My signature voice is the voice that you hear right now. Whether I'm doing the Zatarain's Man, Twix, Cal Lottery, Telemundo, the base of it, the tree trunk, is this signature voice.
Yeah.
The branches is the branch that did Telemundo, is the branch that did Cal Lottery, is the branch that does Zatarain's, whatever it is that I do, Whole Foods, right? So this is the tree trunk. So all of these experiences are coming up through the tree trunk signature voice, and the copy that I see, the VO direction that I see, the director that is directing me makes me choose which branch I'm going to use to interpret this copy.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally. And you guys want to hear more of his commercials, go to his SoundCloud page, Rodney Saulsberry, and there's a bunch of commercials on there. I was listening to like all your different things. And songs are on there, and everything on the SoundCloud page. So go there and follow him and like and listen. Is there any product that you would never do or just not do?
I'm sure there is.
So there are products
I'm
out
sure.
there.
Yeah,
so you
no
do.
doubt
So you
about
do
it.
have like some actors will say, "I will never play this or never do that." So you do have some limitations. Like there's certain things you wouldn't.
Of course.
do.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Anything that was morally not, to my value.
Now, what about ethically? Is there anything if they said, oh, "We want you to act, extra ghetto on something"? Would you be like, "No thanks," or does that bother you, or is that something that you would even come across? I mean.
I would have to see what the script entailed. Again, I would have to look at what's going on and make a judgment at that point. I don't want to say never to that kind of thing. It would depend on how it's posed, what's around it, what's going on, and if I believe that there's truth in it. But I would have to say that it depends on the situation.
Okay. Yeah. I was curious. Writing these books, you have 3 books out. First of all, how satisfying is it to have these books out?
Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely.
Your babies.
No doubt about it. Definitely my babies. And it's my way to contribute, to give back to this wonderful business. I love this business. In fact, I wrote the first book because I was just so excited about this business. I was so excited about what was going on for me, and I wanted to tell everybody. So I wrote You Can Bank on Your Voice. I didn't write it necessarily to sell it.
Right.
I wrote it to let people know about this great business and that they should try to get into it. Now, people loved it, and it turned out to be a big success.
Yeah, it was a big hit.
And it caused me to be requested to speak, requested to teach, and that's how I started teaching in 2004. But the other thing that people got out of the book was they said it was so positive. They said that it was so encouraging. And so I decided in my next book to deal just with that. Step Up to the Mic, a positive approach to succeeding in voiceovers. This book went outside of voiceover, it transcended voiceover, and went into the workplace because I'm talking about being positive on your job, whatever your job is. And so that book was successful. And then, like I said, I wanted other people to come in and give me some thoughts about what they thought about a positive attitude. So you've got that. And if you look at the back of the book, you can see the wonderful other people that contributed.
Tavis Smiley, my man. David H. Balkin, James Allberger. How many people there? But Tavis Smiley, wow. Okay.
Yeah, Nancy Cartwright,
Nancy Cartwright, oh my God. Of
That's
course,
right.
Simpsons, you guys.
There
of
you
course.
go. There you go.
My girl, Felice Sampler, does a lot of voiceover for anime.
There you go.
She's been on Days of Our Lives as an actress, and
Yeah.
now she's a lot of voiceover. You were saying about women.
That's right.
She's a lot of voiceover.
Love it, love it.
Yes.
And then the tongue twister situation was like this. When I teach around the country, or when people come here, in fact, I'm doing a class on September 24th at Voice Tracks West, so I still have a few spots open, and I'm only taking 10, so make sure you jump on that. You can go to my website at rodneysaulsberry.com and check that out. But anyway, when I go around the country, James, people don't say, "Hello, Rodney, how are you?" They extend their hand and they say, "Why in the world would a well want water? When a well wants water, will a well run dry? Why in the world would a wet well want wet water? Will a wet well want wet water when a wet well runs dry?" And so they start doing my tongue twisters.
Oh my God, it's amazing. I'm like,
They don't say hello. They do a tongue twister. And so I got so popular for that I said, you know what? I'm going to put it in a book. And this book has done far better than those books already.
Okay, you got to do another tongue twister for me. Do another one.
Well, bippity bumpity rippity rumpity bippity bumpity boo, bippity bumpity rippity rumpity. Let's make it harder to do. Bumsity dumsily rumsily clumsily. Hopefully soon we'll be through with bippity bumpity rippity rumpity. Stop when your pink tongue turns blue.
Oh my God.
Why in the world would a well want water when a well runs water? Will a well run dry? Why in the world would a wet well want wet water? Will a wet well want wet water when a wet well runs dry?
You know what that reminds me of? Okay, you heard of Barbra Streisand's "1 Minute Waltz" song.
Yes, I have.
And that song is of her. Of course, one of the greatest voices of all time. Mm-hmm. But that song, to me, when she does it, it amazes me every time I hear it.
Yeah,
because she's talking and she's singing it. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to be under a minute. This whole minute, the minute waltz is a little longer than a minute, but it's like it's. Right. And she's like counting down. I have 30 seconds left. And she does this whole and like it's rhyming kind of.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. Like you just did, it's amazing. I'm like, I don't even. Now I want to try to learn that. I'm trying to learn that. I'm trying to do it myself.
Well, please do.
That's so amazing. I love it. And so I mean, sadly, we're coming up to the end of the program. I have to have you again. We have to come back again.
Yes, let's do it again.
I asked my guests the same 2 questions. I do not prep them in advance, as you guys at home know, because I want their opinions fresh. It's the same 2 questions. One, and this is great because it's about language. Okay, so I believe language can, stop us from doing stuff, but propel us forward also. It's a tool for our lives. What word do you think we should take out of our English vocabularies?
What word should we take out of our English vocabulary?
I think you just said that. I should make that a soundbite. It's like, why am I saying it?
Yeah. You know, there's the common answer that I'm sure a million people have said, like, I can't, or,
yes.
that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to be a little more creative and come up with something that we should take out.
So we should get rid of.
Okay, we should get rid of the word later.
Ooh, that's totally original. Okay, I like later.
Yeah.
Let's not stay in that. I'll do it later. Or just have it later. Yes, yes, I like that.
Yes.
Then what word do you think we should say more of or bring back into our vocabularies?
A word that we should say more of.
It's always the harder one for people. Because what word should we say more of?
That's a tough one.
And that's how it's funny, isn't it? That's when everyone gets a little stumped on that one, because that's one that's.
What word should we say? Say it again. Ask me that question again.
Sure. It's like the spelling bee. Can you please just say that again?
Yes, please repeat the word. I love that. I love that. Could you repeat that?
Actually, I'm a 2-time spelling bee champion.
Yes.
Anyway,
okay.
back
Very
in the day.
Nice.
No, but anyway, so okay.
A word that
you think we should bring back or say more of in our vocabulary?
Thank you.
See, I like that.
Yeah.
We don't say that enough.
No, we don't.
In so many different ways, we don't say it enough.
No.
We're so entitled to, or we're so busy.
Yes.
We just take what someone gives us and just don't even say anything.
Yes.
I like that.
Thank you.
I like that.
Thank you. Thank you for liking that.
Yes, I do. I like it very much.
Thank you.
Rodney Saulsberry, you're just the bomb. And the book that's out now is Tongue Twister and Vocal Warm-Ups. You need to get this if you're thinking about a career or just want to work your voice. If you just want to work your voice and you want to do a little better, get this book some tips in there. I'm going to totally read it and see if I can do a tongue twister for him one day. I'll send you a video.
I want to hear it. I want to see it. Yes.
That's amazing. That's just, oh my God, it's amazing.
I want to be sure to get something in. Do I have a second?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Please do, please.
Again, like I said, that class on September 24th, you should definitely be there. It's good for the beginner and the seasoned pro. And also, again, I love to teach. And because I love to teach so much and I know how expensive things can be for people, I started a thing called the Consultants Club.
Ooh, okay.
And the Consultants Club gives me a chance to work with people once a month for 30 minutes. I send you scripts. Could be promo scripts, commercial, explainer videos, whatever is the happening genre at the time. And I send you the scripts, and I coach you, and we work over the phone, or some people like to work by way of Skype.
Skype, yeah.
I also do a 1-hour call for the entire Consultants Club group from all over the country and throughout the world. I use that opportunity. In fact, I'd love to have you as my guest one day.
Oh, I'd love to.
To have guests that I interview, and then I open it up the last 30 minutes for the Consultants Club to ask questions, or I'll use it as a teaching moment. Or, those are the 2 things that could happen within that hour. So you've got the 30-minute private with me,
yes,
and you've got the 1-hour group. And it's just a wonderful way for me to work with people. It's a subscription, so they're charged monthly. And many successful people are coming from this group. It's been in existence now for about 3 years.
Wow, good.
And it's just my chance to help people. And whenever they get jobs, I feel like vicariously I am working too.
Yes.
Because I love to pay it forward and see people be successful.
Well, that's my motto: is pay it forward, share knowledge, and lift each other up. And you do all that.
Well, thank you.
That's my motto. I say it every week. And that's the thing, because we're here. There's not just one slot for one person.
No, not at all.
Stop that. Let's stop that. There's room for all of us.
There's room for all of us.
And when one of us succeeds, we all succeed.
We all succeed.
And that's right. We lose sight of that sometimes. We need to remember that, like you said, when someone you know does well from your class, you're succeeding too.
No doubt about it. Yeah. I mean, it's just a lot of fun to see that happen.
Kind of that.
Yeah. And you can join the club just, again, by going to RodneySaulsberry.com.
.com, kids.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, my goodness. And I would love to come on your show anytime you want me. I'll come.
You got a date.
All right. So, you guys, Rodney Saulsberry, he's also on Twitter at Rod Talk. So, if you want to talk to him some more and ask him some questions, you can talk to him there. Of course, this show will be on Breaking Into's Facebook page. You can also comment there. It'll be on YouTube under Black Hollywood Live and on iTunes. So, you can actually download this conversation and listen to it over and over and over and over again and get those tips going. And please comment and rate. And any comments or any questions you have for him, I will relay them to him, and he'll probably talk to you up there online. So thank you for watching our 40th episode of Breaking Into. I'm so happy here on Black Hollywood Live. Thanks to Daryl Christian and everybody who gave me a chance to have this show. More shows coming up the rest of this month. Thank you, Rodney Saulsberry, for being on here.
Thank you, James.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. I had a great time.
And I will see you guys next time.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in. The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.